One thing that baffles me in Naruto was Obito's idea of warring against the entire world. When Obito declared war on the 5 great nations, he didn't have Kabuto and the Edo Tensei backing him up.
The tongue is a source of misfortune.
The Edo Tenseis were essentially what carried the war. Please subscribe and like this video to help me out, thank you. So Obito declares war, I am going to capture the 8 and the 9 tails, and then I'm gonna use the infinite Tsukiyomi. Now let's take a look at what Obito has. He has 7 tail beasts and a tail of the 8 tails. He has Black Zetsu and he has an army of White Zetsus. And you wanted to go to war with that.
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
What was Obito's plan here? Do you think he could actually win the war by himself? Because let's be real, the White Zetsus are the definition of fodder.
Trash.
They're not gonna do anything. The Alliance was outnumbered by the Zetsus, but the Alliance was just so much more powerful. The Zetsus were only effective in the original because they had Edo Tenseis that were thousands of times more powerful backing them up, and actually being the spearheads of the front lines. If you put, for example, that one stone ninja who is Onoki's son and Kurotsuchi's father, I don't remember his name.
His name is Kitsuchi.
And he used the Earth-style sandwich that he used to contain the 10 tails on an army of Zetsus, he can possibly take out like 20,000 Zetsus in one go. And you're telling me that you're gonna go to war with that, Obito. Sure, you yourself are pretty powerful, but that's essentially the only powerful shinobi you have. Sure, you have the Gedo Mazo, which dealt a lot of damage, but Choji, Choza, and the Alliance were able to counter it. Really, if the Alliance just ganged up on you, you wouldn't really win. It's a lot of ninjas. You're not Madara, Obito. Sorry, you would lose.
Trash.
This opens an interesting question. Do you guys think that the 5 Kage would beat White Mask Obito? Now, with the tail beasts, I believe not. But without them, I think they have a decent chance. Without the Edo Tensei, Obito wouldn't really be able to control the tail beasts so well. He was only able to do so because he sealed the tail beasts inside the Jinchuriki's bodies that were revived via Edo Tensei. He then used the Rinnegan powers to control them, using them as Obito's paths. But if he was simply using the tail beasts like Madara used the 9 tails against Hashirama, for example, he would have a much harder time. They were already getting out of his control when he was fighting Bee and Naruto. The 5 tails tried to attack Obito and Obito had to contain it. So he wouldn't be able to control 7 tail beasts at the same time if he didn't have the paths. So much so that in the original he only controlled 6. He doesn't control the Shukaku because he only had 6 paths, and therefore he chose not to use the weakest one. And yes, Shukaku is the weakest tail beast. A lot of people say that the tails don't have anything to do with their strength, but they definitely do, guys. Come on. It's not very difficult to see that. Shukaku lost to Gamabunta.
Trash.
So what would Obito do without the Edo Tensei? Would he just send in 100,000 White Zetsus and then pop in and out with his Kamui looking for Naruto until he finds him?
It's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's see if it pays off for him.
Man, I don't know, man. This sounds a little weird to me. Without the Edo Tensei, Obito would not be able to complete the 10 tails either. Because if you remember correctly, Obito used the chakra of Ginkaku and Kinkaku who had dived into the 9 tails once upon a time.
The tongue is a source of misfortune.
To complete the Gedo Mazo statue with the 9 tails chakra. He didn't use Naruto's 9 tails chakra at all. Also, Madara really carried the war for him. If Madara wasn't there, the Kages could just swarm in Obito while he was fighting Bee, Kakashi, Guy, and Naruto, and that would be just a 9-on-1 that Obito wouldn't really have a chance because he was already having a pretty tough time against Naruto, Bee, Kakashi, and Guy anyway. And just by reading through the war arc, it's very easy to see that the Edo Tensei summons were actually the reason why the Shinobi Alliance lost so many. At the end of the first day, the Shinobi Alliance lost 40,000 ninjas, which is about half, and the White Zetsu army lost 50,000 White Zetsus, which is also half.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
However, the Shinobi Alliance also had to seal plenty of Edo Tensei or contain them depending on how they chose to deal with them. Also, in the second day of the war, Madara essentially destroys an entire battalion of 20,000 ninjas by himself.
That really got out of hand fast.
Which would be alive if they didn't have the Edo Tensei and would be able to go fight Obito too. Granted, Obito still had Black Zetsu, which is the strongest ninja alive because he blitzed Jubidara or whatever. But in all seriousness, people really downgrade him, but he was fighting against Mei Terumi, the 5th Mizukage, and like 20 Jonins at the same time for a day, or even more than that. And they did not beat him. A clone of KCM1 Naruto had to arrive and fight against Black Zetsu for a long time as well, up until they were able to beat him with Chojiro's sword attack. And even so, they didn't kill Black Zetsu, he escaped. So no, Black Zetsu is not weak, he is pretty strong, but against the entire Shinobi Alliance, no, he is pretty negligible to be honest. He is weaker than a lot of Edo Tensei they were fighting against anyway. Obito definitely overestimated his power and his chances in that war. He probably thought that the Rinnegan that he was about to go grab from Nagato was going to give him an edge, and it certainly did because Orange Mask Obito wouldn't really fare so well in the work anyway. He almost got killed by Conan with a little bit of prep time. So he needed the Rinnegan to be able to compete against the Shinobi Alliance, but he wouldn't be able to. Kabuto really saved him with the Edo Tensei. Think about it. Without the Edo Tensei giving the Zetsu army actual abilities to use, the White Zetsus are just fodder ninja that can drain chakra and then transform into the person they drain the chakra from.
Trash.
And that was Obito's plan to disrupt the Alliance in the second day, but was it really going to work? It was very difficult to tell them apart from the real people, but still, the White Zetsus cannot copy very powerful shinobis to their fullest extent. Just look at how much inferior the White Zetsu Kisame was to the real Kisame. So, no, I don't think it would be terribly effective. It wasn't effective in the original. Granted, it was because Naruto was able to easily sense the transformed White Zetsus, but Naruto would definitely still show up if the Edo Tenseis didn't exist. And he would still be able to destroy a bunch of White Zetsus. We could also see that Sakura and other ninjas were able to counter the White Zetsus as well. In the battlefields before Naruto arrived, they stood at a standstill with the White Zetsus because no one was moving, so it was not like the Alliance was losing a ton of ninjas because the White Zetsus transformed into them anyway. But yeah, I'm kind of neglecting the most important Edo Tensei, the one who changed the war for real, which is Madara Uchiha, obviously. As I mentioned before, he destroyed an entire battalion with the 2 meteors he tossed, almost killing Inoki and Gaara at the process as well. He then fought the 5 Kage and occupied them for like the entire day. Granted, he wasn't fighting very seriously at all, otherwise the war would have ended a little quicker. After Madara uses his perfect Susanoo, Itachi releases the Edo Tensei, and everyone thought, oh great, the 5 Kage will survive, and Madara's going away. Little did you know that Madara knew the hand signs for the Edo Tensei and just broke himself out.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to.
Yes, that's a pretty big ass pull, but it is what it is. It happened in the story, so we have to go with it. Madara stayed alive as an immortal Edo Tensei and went to the battlefield where Obito was fighting after quickly clobbering the 5 Kage.
Trash.
And if Madara hadn't arrived, Obito wouldn't have done so well against Kakashi, Naruto, Guy, and B, because Madara kept Guy and B occupied while Obito was fighting Kakashi and all that after he arrived. So that's another thing Obito wouldn't have. He wouldn't have Madara's help if the Edo Tensei didn't exist. I would have enjoyed to see this alternate reality where Obito tries to go toe-to-toe against the Alliance by himself and the Zetsus. He would have gotten destroyed.
Trash.
Comment below what you think about this and subscribe to this channel, like this video. Thanks for watching.